AI, it's much bigger than what I saw in 2000, much bigger. I was early in the internet, had a business in the internet in 1999, 2000. The AI mania it's an order of magnitude, maybe orders of magnitude bigger. If you saw AI as a company like Amazon, it might make sense at these valuations. I think that is a crazy wrong bet. Bitcoin is healthier than it's ever been. And it reminds me of when Amazon dropped from $126 to $3. And I remember going and trying to raise capital and everybody was saying the internet's dead. So I think the same thing is happening right now. And a whole bunch of people that ported from Bitcoin to these things are going to find the money is going to disappear.
Everyone that got in at a good price has already gotten in. Your exit liquidity. As Jeff writes in his book, the technology is deflationary. You're going to see a lot of oversupply come out.
If you're holding Bitcoin in self-custody, you're going to do exceptional. I don't know when the port comes back into this and out of the other things that Samson was talking about, but it is going to happen.
All right, good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Very excited to have this conversation. I kind of wanted to kick things off with a bit of an observation I had this morning. So thinking back, during the drawdown since October, we saw a whole bunch of FUD narratives hit the mainstream. We had the quantum threat, we had the Epstein controls Bitcoin, we even had the guy from OC floating around and making the rounds some more. He resurfaced. But right now, it seems like there's nothing, neither positive nor negative. It almost feels like the mainstream has completely forgotten about Bitcoin. So Samson, I'll start with you. Does this cycle in any way meaningfully feel different? What's your read on the current silence?
So I don't really believe in cycles. I think they're all just a coincidence. It looked a certain way for a 4-year period, and then it just happened to play out similarly in a few more. But I believe the cycle theory has been broken largely because we hit an all-time high before the halving, and that's never happened before. So everything that's happening now has never really been, there's no direct parallel to prior times. But I understand like people are frustrated right now because it feels like we're going sideways and nothing's happening. And I think that has to do with a few reasons, one of which is it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. People do believe in 4-year cycles, and they're thinking, well, we're going to hit a low end of this year. In November or something like that to match prior cycles. But if it was that easy, everyone would be a trillionaire by now. And that's just not how things work. The other thing that I believe is impacting price is really just the rotation into capital right now in preparation of a few big IPOs this summer. SpaceX, and then a few other ones like Anthropic, I believe, and maybe a few more. But I think people are trying to prepare. Maybe they're hedging against Bitcoin going down, which I don't think it will. And they're going out to cash or stables. And they want to buy the IPOs, which I don't think is a good idea because everyone that got in at a good price has already gotten in and you're kind of exit liquidity. So, the people that don't believe in Bitcoin are probably going to be punished for not believing in Bitcoin, I believe.
Interesting. Jeff, I'm curious your thoughts on maybe attention and capital rotating in. Yeah, we got SpaceX, we got OpenAI, we got Anthropic. It really seems like AI is sucking the air out of the room, which feels kind of ironic. What's your read on the situation?
Yeah, it's similar. So again, I'm not measuring Bitcoin in a piece of paper. I think it's a fool's errand because you're measuring something that's being debased. It has to be debased at an exponential rate, and you're choosing to measure Bitcoin in the thing that's being debased. So Bitcoin is measuring productivity and measuring prices falling everywhere. It is a protocol measuring that. And but if you were measuring in pieces of paper, then you would be in every other hype cycle around. And you'd be comparing to measure Bitcoin to every other hype cycle and things that are going to blow up, cascade enormously bad, right? You'd be paying at the top for a SpaceX IPO, and these things are actually probably going to trade down in a meaningful way as the unlock comes in and people can sell their shares. So there'll be a hold period. So these things have to get out. OpenAI has to get out, and the money that they're lighting on fire to be able to build these businesses is no sense to be able to pay that back. So some of these are going to collapse to the real market later on. And a whole bunch of people that ported from Bitcoin to these things are going to find the money that they thought was going to grow is going to disappear because it's all inside this kind of bubble of more and more manipulated money, whereas Bitcoin is that thing outside of that system. But you add all of what we're saying together, and so where did Bitcoin start? It started from cypherpunks wanting to remove money from state, right? And you have a lot more of those people too in Bitcoin building this protocol that's emerging. But what it would feel like in a world that's transitioning to this is, as people came into this and they didn't understand that idea, it would feel like there were fewer of those people because they would be over the noise of altcoins and scams and this and that and what is the Fed going to do tomorrow? What's Iran going to do tomorrow? The noise would just be deafening from the system that everybody's measuring from, that is being debased at that rate, right? So I think Bitcoin is as healthy. It's healthier than it's ever been. It appears that there's a smaller group of people defending it, when actually there's a really big group of people defending it and building on top of it. And it reminds me, by the way, because I was early in the internet, had a business in the internet in 1999, 2000, when Amazon dropped from $126 to $3, right? And our company almost failed. It was brutal, right? And I remember going and trying to raise capital, and everybody was saying the internet's dead. And while you're watching adoption go straight up to the right, well, people got liquidated by overbidding things that didn't make sense. So I think the same thing is happening right now, and that means if you're holding Bitcoin in self-custody and you're going to do exceptional. I don't know when the port comes back into this and out of the other things that Samson was talking about, but it is going to happen.
Quickly, I just want to add I want to double tap on one thing there as well. Because yeah, Jeff, it was a build direct through the .com bubble and through the 2008 crisis.
Yep.
I'm curious if the AI mania is at all reminiscent of those times as well too, or maybe not.
The AI mania it's an order of magnitude, maybe orders of magnitude bigger. But if you think about Global Crossing, 360 networks that were laying fiber at the time,
yep,
it rhymes a lot with that. It rhymes with the circular economy that was created there, that things wouldn't fail because you needed more fiber forever, because of the growth of the internet, which caused the collapse of these valuations that were outrageous. And in some of these cases, at Cisco, I think, it took 25 years to get back to the pre-market price.
Wow.
Right. So this is all caused, and you can see it in a general condition around humanity. Everybody's short term, betting markets, everything is this: how do I make more money really fast? How do I lever that money to make more money really fast? And it's all because money's broken, and they're taking more and more gambling inside the broken money and it spins on itself. Now they're all inside this machine that's telling everybody who's getting rich, and they're all measuring against the richness of the broken money. And so it drives, these cycles are so fast, and they're happening at a crazy rate. But so AI, it's much bigger than what I saw in 2000, much bigger.
Peptides have exploded over the last year. Search interest just hit an all-time high, and people are searching peptides more than AI right now. One company I actually trust in the space is Real Peptides, and here's what I've been running. BTC 157 was the biggest standout for recovery. Tessa and ipamorelin helped me put on the most size I've ever had. Trinity X, a GLP-3, was incredibly potent for appetite control, and DSIP has become my go-to for sleep when I need a reset. Sourcing matters a lot, and Real Peptides is research use only, third-party tested, and even endotoxin tested, which few do. So hit realpeptides.co or scan the QR code on the screen and use code BTC Sessions for 40% off your first purchase. One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Mines, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple, One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantmines.com/sessions.
Wow. Samson?
There's a lot of inefficiencies right now and bottlenecks with scaling AI inference, and I think that plays into some of the hype. Like, it appears there is more demand and more need than the underlying actually can support, and that is true for now. But these bottlenecks will remove themselves over time. And as Jeff writes in his book Price of Tomorrow, it's technology is deflationary, and I don't feel like the people that are really excited about these things are fully understanding that. I think a lot of Bitcoiners that are dabbling in AI, I'm one of them. There's Brad Mills, there's a whole bunch of us.
Yeah.
We are seeing that because we value privacy, we're all focused on how you can do local inference on your own devices, and the technology is definitely getting to a point. It's being optimized. You can run an LLM on your MacBook at a pretty decent rate of tokens per second, and that's only getting better. And I don't feel like there's been a lot of optimization. It's always been offloading the efficiencies and improvements onto raw hardware and energy consumption, which is really not the way to go. So if you think like you're investing in these AI companies and the thesis is they're going to keep on expanding power consumption, energy consumption, and building data centers in space and all that to meet this demand, I don't think that's the right direction. I think you're going to see a lot of optimization, and you're going to see a lot of oversupply come out at the end. And what's going to absorb that oversupply? Surprise, it's Bitcoin mining, because it can. And that's the way it's always been. We just absorb the excess, we absorb the oversupply. And the interesting horse in this race right now, I think, is SpaceX, because they actually have Bitcoin on balance sheet, right? Yep. So it's like they're well positioned to weather this, more well positioned than I would say the other ones like OpenAI and Anthropic, which are just kind of pure play betting on this nonstop expansion, and they don't have Bitcoin. But again, it all interplays at a very subtle level. I think eventually some of these companies will start to allocate to Bitcoin just to hedge, right? You can grow, but if you're growing and you're keeping your money in fiat as a melting ice cube, then that's not really getting you anywhere. Same story with Nvidia. They're making a lot of money, but they're still storing it in a defective medium.
If you saw AI as a company like Amazon, and it was going to be controlled by a central company like Amazon, it might make sense at these valuations. I think that is a crazy wrong bet. AI is more like electricity that is going to distribute, and more people, because once you have the model, the model becomes open source like 2 weeks later. They reverse engineer it. You can run it on your computer. You might have a lag of 3 months between the latest model and what's available. And so it's constantly getting better and better and cheaper. And so what's going to happen is, instead of using a centralized model where somebody else has all your data, you're going to do exactly what Samson did, because the free market, you'll do it cheaper, better, faster, and it'll be private. You'll have all the stuff. So I think there's a misallocation of capital, massive misallocation of capital, with a belief that these are resilient companies like the tech monopolies, which will not look like that.
Yeah, I'd never considered that, because right now I'm thinking about what is it, like Marathon, TeraWulf, who else? It seems like all the big ASIC publicly traded miners have pivoted to doing AI. We're doing AI and switching, because they're essentially just like electricity arbitrage. They got good contracts. That's essentially what they're selling. But I never thought about the possibility of the hardware kind of becoming redundant or unnecessary if the models get good enough that everyone's in. It's almost like, to take a silly analogy, it's almost like music's gotten very popular, so they're just investing in how to produce more CDs faster, not realizing that they're not going to need CDs very soon.
It is a good analogy. Now, the other thing, though, in the meantime, I think this could go on for some time. I'm on the board of Core Scientific, and I think it could go on for longer than people think, because these contracts for the energy are
Yep.
like 10 or 15 years long-term contracts with the hyperscalers, and they need and like Samson said, there's pockets of the market that you're short energy for this, and you're having to bid this up and sign secure contracts out a long time. So there is potential, a lot of value capture in the medium term in this, but kind of in the end, this is going to constantly get cheaper, better, faster.
You, yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen.